Welcome to a new episode of Sam the Realtor, where you'll learn about South Florida real estate and real estate beyond. Are you looking to buy or sell property in the South Florida area? Well, listen in as Sam interviews real estate industry professionals across the state of Florida and in the country to get the answers you want to know. And now for your host, Samuel Owosalu.
Welcome to the second episode of the Ask Sam the Realtor podcast. On today's episode, I have Tomond, who's a full-time real estate entrepreneur with more than 15 years of real estate, accounting, and financial experience. He is the owner and founder of Jack Davis Realty, a real estate brokerage firm serving residential real estate investors and homeowners across Metro Atlanta. Tomond is an expert in Atlanta real estate market, one of the best and unique investing markets in the U.S. for single-family and small multifamily homes. Tomond, thanks for joining me on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Sam.
So tell us a little bit about your real estate background, how you got started.
Well, my background goes back to 2001. That's when I bought my first property. Now, I bought the property for myself to actually live in. But during that time, I was doing a lot of research and reading about different ways to make money, because I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. And at the time I was working in corporate America, so I knew I wasn't enjoying the accounting finance environment there. So I was, researching ways to make money outside of corporate America. And the more I read, the more I found out that, many wealthy people made their wealth in real estate, or actually held their wealth in real estate. So that started me looking into real estate a lot more. And that's when I started actually investing. I actually bought my first investment property in 2002. So my experience goes back to 2001, 2002, buying my first investment property. Then I was doing a lot of trying to build a rental portfolio. And then I started doing, some renovation work, fix and flip. So I switched over from a buy and hold model to a fix and flip model. And then I branched out from corporate America in 2005 after the real estate was going pretty well for me. And I was doing real estate full time. It was going pretty well for about the first year or two, and then the market started to slow down. So I joined the Home Investors group at that point. Home Investors is the We Buy Ugly Houses guys, and the franchise system across the country. So I was working with them with a franchisee here in the Atlanta area as a buyer. And that was going great. We were buying probably close to 50 homes a year. We worked there for a little over a year. And then in 2007, the market just came to a stop as far as on the investment level, being able to access money. I mean, it was like yesterday. I remember the day, the franchise that I was working with called me up like, look, we have no more money. We can't get any money anywhere. So the market, that was where I saw the beginning of the end for the real estate market at the time. And as we know, the market took a huge crash starting in 2008 all the way through basically, 2010 when it started to come back a little bit more so in 2012. Well, during that time, I decided to go back to MBA school and get my real estate, get my MBA with a concentration in real estate. But I was able to connect after I graduated from my MBA school. I was able to connect with the real estate firm here in Atlanta where, single-family real estate was starting to become really hot and heavy and being performed at a commercial level, doing numbers that people never thought of, $1 billion in single-family real estate as a rental portfolio. So we did that from 2012 all the way through, the end of 2014. We were buying properties. We were spending literally about $40 to $50 million a month on single-family homes here in Atlanta and in Florida. So we were buying anywhere from 3 to almost 400 properties a month, and over that 2-year span, we bought over 5,000 homes. But that market slowed down too, because that was all dependent on foreclosures. So that slowed down a little bit, and that's when I decided to branch off and go out and do real estate, more on a smaller scale. I kind of enjoy working with the individual investors and homeowners. So I decided to go back out on my own and start investing again. I bought a Home Investors franchise, so I've been doing that since January. That's going pretty well. And then I also started Jack Davis Realty, where we're specialized in working with investors. So it's kind of a long-winded background, but that's kind of where I started and where I am today.
Yeah. Well, it's an extensive background, and you've actually seen pretty much everything. I mean, you've from when you started to where you are now. I mean, there's so many different market changes. I mean, it probably just broadens your perspective on where the market is at. Probably gives you a good feel for where things are going.
Oh, definitely. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly with real estate. I saw when it was really good before the market crash, and then right when it started to slow down, it got bad and then really ugly. And I was able to survive through that, but it was a tough time. It wasn't easy. But today, the market is coming back. It's looking good. We were able to do a lot of deals and transactions for the past 2.5 years. So things are looking great now. I love it. It's my passion, and I just love real estate. So I'm glad I stayed in it, and it's starting to pay its dividends.
Wow, well that's great, man. So I mean, we're heading now into fourth quarter of 2015. Is it still a good time to invest in real estate? Because people say it's when it's good, you got to be careful. But is it still pretty good for anyone to kind of come in, for new investors to invest in the Atlanta real estate market?
Yes, the Atlanta market is a great market right now. When the private equity firms were here buying real estate, you had your Imitation Homes, which is backed by Blackstone, Colony, American Homes for Rent, all these large firms here buying property in the Atlanta area. They were really dominating the market and made it tough for investors to be in it. And that was the past couple of years. Luckily, I was a part of that cycle, so I was able to learn a lot and meet a lot of different people. But that part of the process is kind of slowed down, and that's kind of phasing out, and you're getting back into the pre-crash days when you have individual investors able to capitalize on the market conditions. Atlanta's still not back to the pre-market conditions. I mean, the pre-crash. Mm-hmm. So it's still not up to that level. In some areas, I don't think it'll ever get to that level, but in some other areas, it's going to surpass that. So, and we're still not there yet in the Atlanta market, but the market is great. I mean, prices are up, sales volume is up year over year. There's a lot of buzz in the city, a lot of activity going on in the city, a lot of building. We're building 2 new stadiums here in Atlanta, so there's a lot of construction going on, new single-family home developments being built all across the city. I mean, there's a lot of buzz in Atlanta right now as far as real estate goes, and it's a great time to be in it.
So you think those are the things that make Atlanta attractive for an investor, say, coming from out of state to invest in? You think those are some of the reasons?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, the market is doing great. But some of the reasons why the market is doing great, you have large companies moving here. So you still have the population growth going on in Atlanta. Now, it did stall for a while, but it's back. You have companies like Mercedes that has moved their headquarters here. State Farm, they're building a large office complex in Sandy Springs area. So you have a lot of large companies moving here. I recently saw a report where, the job growth for Atlanta for this year is expected to be over 100,000 jobs, new jobs in Atlanta. And also in that same report, it was done by the Atlanta Regional Commission. Atlanta ranks 2 out of 12 of the top 12 the metro areas across the country. It ranks number 2 as far as employment trends and job growth. So there's a lot of opportunity as far as jobs go. And then you have things like the Beltline, the Atlanta Beltline. That it's finally gotten some traction. If you're not familiar with that, that's a large project that encompasses all of the city. And it's basically a loop going around the inner city of Atlanta, connecting neighborhoods, and it's going to have a lot of cool things along that trail as far as restaurants, entertainment. So that's a big project. It's been going on for literally about 10, 12 years, and it's finally gotten the traction that it's needed and attention, and people are on board with it. So that's a huge, huge project that's going on. And like I said, the stadium's being built across the city. I mean, there's just a lot of good things happening in Atlanta, and it's somewhere you want to be.
Okay, so I've spoken with some investors down here in South Florida, and they're saying that the climate down here is getting pretty tough. It's getting very competitive. Some have even looked of investing in real estate or taking their investing career outside of South Florida. Not saying that they want to leave South Florida, but they want to invest in other cities. So, what steps should an investor that's in South Florida look to expand their real estate investing career if they want to come to a city like Atlanta?
Well, the first thing you want to do when you go anywhere is you want to know your strategy. Are you looking to invest in single family homes? If so, is that a buy and hold strategy? Is that a fix and flip strategy? What are you doing in that particular asset class? Same thing with commercial or any other asset class that you're looking to get into. You need to know your strategy before you get to that city. And once you figure out your strategy, real estate is local. You got to have your local experts there, especially when you're dealing with residential real estate. You got to have a local expert in the market who knows what's going on, who stays abreast on the market changes and trends, and can really dig into the neighborhoods and keep you out of trouble. Because like I said, real estate is local, and especially in Atlanta. You can have a good neighborhood, but within that neighborhood, you can have a bad street, and it's a street you don't want to be on, and you can just buy a bad investment deal. You think, okay, I have a lot of good comparable properties around here to support my price, but at the end of the day, it's a bad street, and you just don't want to be on it. So you got to have a local expert who can dig deep into that and know what's going on in the area. So you got to make those right connections if you want to come from out of state and invest here in the Atlanta market, because it can be kind of tough if you're not familiar with the area.
I agree, and I also agree that real estate is local. Some areas do better than others, and in order to really get a good understanding of home values, trends, and neighborhoods, you do need someone that's kind of boots on the ground, knows what's going on in that area, that has a finger on the pulse of neighborhoods. And like you said, the only way to find someone like that is to know through connections and know that that person is knowledgeable in those areas. So for someone that's looking to invest in another city, those I think are requirements necessary to start off a successful investing career in another state. So what are the potential challenges you think out-of-state investors would have buying property in Atlanta?
Like I said, the main challenge is knowing the market and knowing the industry, but also you got to have the right connections. If you have a repair issue or a house that you're looking to fix and flip, you got to have the right contractors in place. So knowing the right people, being able to network with the right people to get what you need, even if it's it can be repairs, property management, it can be just the acquisition process. It's really networking and having the right people that you can trust, because you're not here. So you have to depend on everybody in that city to give you accurate and timely information. So you got to have people that you can trust on your team. So you got to build your team. You can't do it just by yourself 10,000 miles away. You gotta have a local team here to help you achieve the goals that you're looking for.
Okay. And what do you think are as far as property type, is a good type to invest in right now? I know some people like single family homes, multifamily, pre-construction, commercial, but what do you find right now is getting investors the most return on investment, or at least what's readily available now?
What's readily available and creating a high return right now is single family. Single family market is hot. That you have your buyers out there who have the buy and hold strategy or fix and flip, because the market has increased greatly as far as prices go from where we were at the bottom. The fix and flip model is working great right now. We're still a market where inventory is low. I think I recently read an article where inventory was less than 60 days, I think hovering around 50 or so, like that. So the inventory is still low here in Atlanta. And also, if you're a buy and hold guy, you still have rents that are increasing. Rents have increased over Atlanta close to 34% every single year for the past 3-4 years. So it's a good market. Single family is a good market. And I think it's one that a lot of people understand and it's easy to get into. But you also have to be careful with single family. So it's not just a walk in the park. You definitely have to know what you're doing. So I would say single family is the strongest right now. Commercial is making a comeback. It was very depressed. Rents were down. Construction was down. I think there may be one or two speculative construction commercial buildings going up now. That's a big change from when we had the boom back in the pre-crash. So commercial is coming back. I think it's in the early to mid stages of making its comeback. Multifamily kind of led the way as far as bringing the real estate market back, and that's mainly because a lot of people want to rent now, and a lot of people aren't eligible to buy anymore. So multifamily has led the way, especially in Atlanta. In the Atlanta kind of city limits of Atlanta, it is dominated by multifamily. The younger generation, the millennials, they want to be closer to shopping. They want to be able to walk or bike places. So multifamily is making it convenient for a lot of people to do that. However, multifamily has gotten pretty expensive. So, it's trading at a 3-4% cap rate a lot of times. So you're not going to achieve those high returns unless you find just a great deal out there that you can with single family. You have some people making 60, 70, 80% on their single family investments where, they're making 3-4% on their multifamily investments. So I think single family right now is where you need to focus in on, because there's just so many market indicators favoring that asset class.
Yeah. Do you think the rental market's pretty strong also?
Oh yeah, definitely. The rental market is still strong. I think it's going to be strong for the next few years. Like I said, there's a segment of the population that just does not want to be homeowners, and they have families, and they want to be in a home. So, renting a single family home makes sense for them. And there's those homeowners that used to own a home, and, they have a bad taste in their mouth because they may have been foreclosed on or something like that. And it just didn't go well for them the first time around. And they just want to remain in a house, but they don't want to own the house. So it's definitely still a good market.
Okay. So in the rental market, would you say it's difficult to find good property management? Or what's your experience with, say, like an investor? I'm a new investor. I'm living out of state, and I want to manage the property from another state. Would it be difficult for me to find good property managers? What do you typically find?
I had the privilege, shall I say? I don't know if it was a privilege, but to head up a property management group. The firm I was with, we were buying for a lot of the private equity firms. After about a year, I moved over to the property management group, and I was heading up that organization. And at one point, we had about 3,000 homes under management, and I would say probably 1,000 of those were vacant. So it was definitely a challenge. But one thing I found working in property management, there are tons of property management companies out here. And they will say that they can get it done and they'll do a great job for you. But there are not a ton of good property management companies out here. Property management is a very tough business. It's a very simple business to understand. And, you would think it's pretty easy, but you have the human factor in there. Anytime you have that, it makes it a challenge to manage. So you have to have a property management company that knows what it's doing and stays on top of it, gets you your reporting. And the keys for property management, or what I've always said, is if you do your due diligence up front and do it right up front, your property management will be a lot easier. So that's screening your tenants up front, and that's making sure your properties are in good condition up front. That's going to lower your maintenance costs and lower your turnover costs from people leaving. But, some of the typical fees that property management companies here in Atlanta, is going to be somewhere between 8 to 10% management fee. Some people are going to charge you first month's rent as a leasing fee. It may be a little less than that. And some even charge on a marketing fee on top of that. And then you also have renewal fees. When someone renews their lease, they're probably going to charge a percentage. All that kind of varies between companies, and they have their different strategies and different fees. But those are some of the basic fees that you'll find in regards to property management, at least for the single family residential property management.
Okay. So if I'm looking to assess a property management company for my properties in Atlanta and I live in South Florida, what should I be looking for? I want to hire this company. What are things that I should be looking for if I'm not familiar with property managers in Atlanta?
You know, you want to understand how their organization is set up. You know, there are a number of ways to organize property management group. Some just do it by, they have portfolio managers, so there may be one person that manages 100 properties and they do everything for those 100 properties. Or there may be kind of a functional organization where, you know, someone's responsible for leasing, someone's responsible for maintenance, someone's responsible for managing the tenant day to day. So there's different ways to set up the organization. So you want to set it up. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but you also want to look for indicators within each organization to see if they can handle the volume that they say they can handle and can take on your portfolio. You want to understand what they have under management right now, what's their reputation in the community, what are they doing how are they screening their tenants, keeping their delinquency low, you know, what is their delinquency rate, what's their response time in regards to management or even increased calling into the office. Because property management is just mainly customer service. So you want to understand those factors of property management and how the companies are able to respond to it and what's their track record in regards to those indicators. So those are some of the main points I would kind of look into for a property management company.
Okay. Do you find people look on the web and, you know, may look at reviews of that property manager's record, or I guess at least experiences? Do you find that people are doing that, or?
Yeah, you definitely can find information online about the property management company. You know, property management, you know, it's tough. I think a lot of them are going to have negative reviews, so you can only look so much into that, and that's mainly because with any review process, most of the time, who's putting up comments? It's going to be people who are unhappy for the most part. But a lot of companies, they're really proactive in getting their positive comments out there, and you can see what's going on. So the reviews help, but I wouldn't depend 100% on reviews because sometimes that's just not an accurate picture. You got to really dig in deep with the property management company and see what they're about. What are their values as a company, and how are they really treating their residents? And you can definitely do some research online and find a lot about property management companies, but you also want to sit down and talk with them, and maybe even talk to some of their current clients, you know, investors, and also some of their residents, and see how they're actually performing.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Real good idea. So with the current real estate climate right now in Atlanta, say I have a property right now and I want to sell. Usually, what do you find is the time that a property stays on the market? I have a single family home and I want to turn it over. It's in a fairly decent neighborhood and I want to sell it. How long usually will that property stay on the market, you find right now?
You know, it depends on the neighborhood, definitely. You know, some neighborhoods are really hot, like your Kirkwood, East Atlanta, Decatur, some parts of Decatur, you know, Buckhead. There are certain areas that are really hot that are definitely going to sell within 30 days or less, as long as you price it right. You know, if you price any home right, you can sell it in 30 days for the most part. So there are some areas that, you know, even if it is priced right, it's going to take longer than 30 days just because the demand is maybe not there like some other areas. But those hot neighborhoods are definitely going to be 30 days or less. And then you have some other neighborhoods that are probably going to be around 60 days or less or something like that. But for the most part, most areas of Atlanta, you can sell a home priced right within 60 to 30 days. You know, that's very realistic. But it has to be, like I said, priced appropriately. There are a lot of buyers out here right now, and that's kind of what they're looking for, those great deals. So things aren't staying on the market very long. And like I said, inventory is low. Yeah. I mean, the inventory here in Atlanta is very low, you know, historically. So you definitely have a good opportunity to sell properties. It's definitely a seller's market, which I was always wondering, would that ever be a case here in Atlanta? Are we ever going to see a seller's market? Because, you know, there were just always a lot of homes on the market for sale. But I think right now we're kind of in that seller's market, almost getting to equilibrium where we're evening out between sellers and buyers. So I don't think you have much time to capitalize just on selling, but the opportunity is here, and now's the time to get in on it. That's the one thing we focus on here at Jack Davis is working with homeowners who are motivated to sell. So we can get a home sold within 30 days as long as that homeowner takes heed to our advice and the right pricing, and we get it moved pretty quickly. So the market is great.
Well, that's the key, that they take heed to your advice. I know some investors have an idea of, what value or price a home should go for on the retail market, but I think that's where you kind of need to defer to an expert, someone who knows the area to help you with your pricing strategy.
Oh yeah, definitely. We kind of help our investors all the way from the beginning to the end. So we do the research up front for them. It's on the acquisition side, and kind of let them know what their back end value is going to be, help them set an exit strategy. So when it does come time to sell, they already know where they need to be, and at least they know where they need to be at the bottom. And they may be able to push it a little bit, push the market a little bit, and if they're willing to push the market, we let them know, hey, at this price point, you're pushing the market, so expect to be on the market probably longer than 30 days. If you want to be on 30 days or less, this is where you need to be. So we kind of set that expectation up front, and everything goes pretty well as long as you do that.
Okay. So, Tomond, I'm going to have to ask you to bring out your crystal ball and tell us all, how long will this last?
That's a tough question. I think everything is cyclical, but the real estate market has been depressed for so long. We have been increasing year over year, probably since 2011. We haven't really seen many decreases since then. But you had a period where it was just nothing but investors stabilizing the market. Now you get into a period where homeowners are coming in, buying the homes, living in them, and pushing the market forward. You have a lot more first-time home buyers out there. So I think as long as the lending continues in the current trend of easing and not becoming more stringent, I think this is going to last probably for at least 5 years. I would give it at least another good 5 years, and then you kind of see a plateau and maybe kind of a slight decrease. But I don't expect anything like we saw in 2007 to 2009. I mean, that was just
apocalypse.
It was foreseeable based on what was going on and the policies in place. And I mean, if you were able to breathe, you can get along back then. So it was a different time. But I don't think you ever see that period again.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we'll see another apocalypse like that for a while. Definitely. So, any last thoughts or any words of tips that you can give investors who are looking to Atlanta to probably purchase real estate as an investment?
Yeah, if you're new to the area, you definitely, like I said earlier, get with a local expert, someone who knows the market. That's what we specialize here at Jack Davis Realty. We focus on working with investors, setting a strategy for them, and helping them achieve their goals. So you definitely want to get with someone local. But, it's the hardest part for a lot of people is just doing it. And that's why I would say just go out and do it. You might make a mistake here or there, but you can be smart about what you're doing and get in the game. And Atlanta's a great market to be in, and it's somewhere that you want to be. I truly believe, at least for the single-family residential market, Atlanta's one of the best markets in the States to be investing in. There aren't very many that are better than Atlanta compared to your rent values and your sales price, the appreciation that you're getting on properties, the job growth here, all the companies moving to Atlanta, just the combination of things. I mean, we're the new Hollywood of the South. I mean, there's just a lot going on in Atlanta that you just want to be in. And, you can definitely achieve your financial real estate goals here in Atlanta. Like I said, I think it's the best place in the country to do it.
I'm laughing here when you say Hollywood of the South. It's actually true. There are some movie studios that have actually moved there some of their studios over in Atlanta, I heard.
Oh yeah, I mean other than Tyler Perry's movie studios, there are a ton of movie studios here moving in. They're building a new one down in Union City. They're building one in the Doraville area that's supposed to be the biggest in the South. So they're building movie studios here. They have acquired other movie studios that are here. There are movies being made every day around here. I mean, big movies. Like I think Spider-Man or something like that was being made here, or Captain America. I think that's what it was. So there are a ton of movies being made in the Atlanta area. So there's a lot of different industries growing and flourishing here in Atlanta. And I'm telling you, there's a true buzz in the city, and Atlanta is a great place to be right now.
Yeah, and a lot of those people, they're going to need places to live. They're going to need places to rent. So
that's right. And a lot of them are here temporarily, so not here for the long term. So they want maybe a 1-year rental, and they can rent out your place.
Exactly. Well, Tomond, I appreciate you joining me on the show, sharing your expertise. It was a pleasure having you. How can people reach you if they want to get more information about you and your company?
Well, you can reach us on Facebook. We do have a Facebook page, Jack Davis Realty. Also, website, jackdavisrealty.com. Those are the best places to reach us. You can also reach me on LinkedIn. I do have a LinkedIn page. And we also just follow us on Instagram, Jack Davis Realty on Instagram. You can follow us there also. So, number of different ways to get in contact with us.
Excellent. And what I'll do for you guys, I will have all the show notes on the blog so that you can reach out to Tomond if you have any questions about investing in Atlanta. So thanks for having. I'd like to thank you for coming on to the show, Tomond, and hopefully we can get you on and talk a little bit more real estate in Atlanta.
Thanks, Sam. I appreciate being on and talking with your group. So it's more than happy to do it again. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, Tomond.
All right, thanks.
If you loved this episode, be sure to head over to samtherealtor.net and follow Sam on social media as he gives you a bird's eye view of South Florida living. It would be amazing if you could leave us a rating and review on iTunes. Thanks for listening, and make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all future episodes.